Welcome to First at 4. Arizona gas pumps running dry. We continue digging for the facts on why the gas shortage continues to stretch on. Every day we keep getting new reports of new gas stations across the valley with empty pumps.
Turns out a bunch of different factors are all coming together to not only close down entire gas stations, but to raise the price of gas that is available.
Team 12's Mitch Carr is live in Chandler. And Mitch, where and when you can find gas seems to change on a daily basis.
Well, that's the really frustrating thing about this is it's not just one brand. It's not just Circle K or Fry's. We're at a Chevron right now in Chandler. It's not just one part of town. Again, we're in Chandler. There's an outage here. But if you're in Glendale or if you're somewhere else, maybe in the Southwest Valley, there's going to be an outage there as well. You can't even pull up into a station and know which pump to use. For example, this pump, sorry, out of service. That pump, someone just got gas right there and there was no problem at all. So what is causing all of this? Well, the first is some supply pipeline issues. There are two pipelines that feed into Arizona, and if there are unplanned maintenance issues with either one, then that's going to hurt the supply. According to AAA, that is what's happening now. Another factor is flooding in the Midwest. Some of the Arizona gas supply comes from ethanol, which is made from corn, which grows in the Midwest, which again is experiencing flooding. Another issue, the change from the winter mix of gasoline to the summer mix. That's going to put a strain on fuel supplies every year. Now, what's different about this year is that all of these pretty typical factors are all happening all at once.
A lot of people do like to play the game where they try to get as close as they can to get every mile out of their tank. That's not a game you want to play right now. Given the situation we're in, there's no need to panic. Fill up as you need it, but as a good rule of thumb, we don't want you going below a quarter of a tank.
Now, as you guys mentioned earlier, the high demand and struggling supply, they both combine to raise prices. This Chevron is selling its regular for nearly $3. $2.79 is a very common price out there as well. $2.67 for some Circle Ks. The prices are all over the place, but generally they're a little bit higher than this time of year. And coming up at 5, we're going to talk a little bit about some more factors that contribute to the higher price to go along with this higher demand and this lower supply. Reporting live in Chandler, Mitch Carr, 12 News.
Okay, Mitch, thanks.